Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's baking blog. Today I'm going to make some prosciutto and Gruyere croissants. So I'm going to make the puff pastry dough myself, but you could just you can get little rolls of croissant dough in supermarkets and you could use that instead. And so what I'll do is in this video, when I edit it, I'll put a time underneath which will allow you to jump to that time in the video, so you can just see how I work with the pastry once it's made, so you don't have to watch the video while I'm making the puff pastry if you just want to buy shop bought. But for those who want to make their own, the video will show that. And so for this I need puff pastry and prosciutto and Gruyere cheese. And it's quite a long-winded process because you make the dough today and you actually finish everything off tomorrow, or you have to chew the dough for at least 8 hours once you've got it ready. So that's best done overnight basically. Now for the ingredients for the dough, I have 250 grams of strong white bread flour. You could use plain flour, but I'm using strong white bread flour. That's 2 cups. I have 150 milliliters, which is half a cup and 2 tablespoons of water. I have 5 grams of instant yeast, and I have 1 teaspoon of salt. I also have 150 grams of chilled butter, which I have cut into pieces and shaped into an 8-inch by 4-inch rectangle, and we need that to be cold, so that's going to go back in the fridge very shortly while we start off the dough. So what I'm going to do is to put my flour into the stand mixer, and then on one side I'm going to pour the yeast, and on the other side I'm going to pour the salt, and into the middle I'm going to pour the water, and then I'm going to mix that for 2 minutes on a low speed, and then I'm going to increase the speed to medium and mix it for a further 6 minutes, by which time it should be coming away from the bowl and be quite stiff. So as you can see, it started to pull together. That's been 2 minutes. Now I'm going to speed up to a medium speed and continue to knead it for 6 minutes. So I've kneaded that for 6 minutes, and it's come together quite nicely. It's nice and stiff. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give that a little bit of a stretch and then turn it over onto itself like that. And form it into a ball, and then I'm going to lightly dust it with some flour like that, and I'm going to put it into a plastic bag, and I'm going to chill that in the fridge for 1 hour, and then after an hour it will be ready to roll out and have the butter incorporated into it. So I'll be back in an hour when we're ready to roll out and put the butter in. The dough has chilled now for about an hour, and so what I'm going to do is I've lightly floured the work surface, and I'm going to roll this out into a rectangle about 30 centimetres by 10 centimetres, 12 inches by 4 inches. I'm just going to check the length. And I've got the width too much, but the length is almost right. It doesn't matter if it's slightly wider. I'm just going to square that off a little bit. So I need another couple of centimetres. And that's going to be okay like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my butter. So this is 8 inches by just under 4 inches. And I've cut it in half. So I can take half of it, I hope, and put it on the dough like that. I need my dough to be a little bit longer. Like that, and I'm going to actually just roll that a little bit further because it's not rolling, it's not folding quite as well as it should. That's better. Like that. And then I'm going to put the other half of the butter on the top, like that. And I'm going to cover that as well. Like that. And then I'm going to seal that around the edges, like that. And I'm going to put that back in the bag, and I'm going to chill it again for another hour, and then after that hour we'll do our first proper turn of the dough, and we're going to do that next process 3 times, chilling in between each time. So I'll be back in an hour when this is ready to roll the first turn. So it's been an hour and our dough has chilled. So I'm going to roll it out again, and I have the folded side at the sides and the open sides facing me. I'm going to roll it to about the same size again. And I'm going to fold that up into a third, and then a third again. In fact, I'm going to do it over the other way because I can see some butter coming out there. So I'm going to fold that third down and this third up on the top like that. And I'm going to, that's one turn, and I'm going to put that back in a bag and chill it for another hour. Then I'm going to do it again, chill it for an hour. Then I'm going to do it one more time, and then I'm going to chill it overnight, and I'll come back tomorrow and we'll go on, roll it out for the final time, cut out the shapes and fill it with the prosciutto and Gruyere cheese. So I'll be back tomorrow to show you that. The dough has chilled now overnight, and I've put it back onto a floured work surface. I've knocked a little bit of air out of it as well. Now I have with me here some battens of Gruyere cheese. This weighs 100 grams. I may not need all of that. And I have 6 slices of prosciutto. So what I want to do is I want to roll this dough out now until it's 42 centimeters, which is about 17 inches wide, and 18 centimeters, which is about 7.5 inches deep. And from my template that I've cut out, I can see that that's just about right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the excess off. Like that. And there's just a little bit here which I'm going to trim up, and a little bit at this end. And then what I have here is another little template, whoops, which is 12 centimeters in width, which is about 5 inches by 18 centimeters deep. And what I want to do is I want to cut those shapes out like that. And I'll get 6 out of here, hopefully. One, two, three, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's almost 6. By the time I roll that out, that will be 6. So that would be fine. And then I just want to set each of these aside for a moment. And then take just one and I'm going to roll it just a little bit more to flatten it out a little bit more, just like that, and I'm going to cut a slit in that end and pull that out and pull the top down to stretch it, and then I'm going to put my prosciutto on. And I'm going to put the battens of cheese, and I'm going to leave it sticking out, but just chop off the ends a little bit. Just like that. And then I'm going to roll this up. Just like that. And I'm going to put that onto a baking tray. And do the same with the remainder. So I have 6 rolled out, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover those loosely with some plastic and leave them to rise again until they've risen significantly, maybe between 1 and 2 hours, and then while they're rising I will preheat the oven to 200 Celsius, that's 180 Celsius with a fan, 400 Fahrenheit, and then we'll be ready to put a quick egg wash on the top of them and bake them. So I'll be back when they're ready to go into the oven. I've allowed the croissants to rise again for almost 2 hours, and they have increased in size. I think they've probably doubled in size, but they don't look like that because the cheese and such like is holding them back. They'll rise more in the oven. So what I have here is just a beaten egg, which I'm going to brush onto the dough. And then I'm going to put them in the oven, which I have preheating at 200 Celsius, 180 Celsius with a fan, 400 Fahrenheit. And I'm going to bake them for 15 to 20 minutes until they've got a nice golden brown colour. So with those egg washed, I put them in the oven, bake them, and then I will come back and show you the results after they've cooled down, and we'll taste one while it's still warm. Our prosciutto and Gruyere croissants have now cooked, and I baked them for 20 minutes. I've taken them out and allowed them to cool down just a little bit. I've already had a bite of this one, and I have to say it's very, very good. You get the buttery croissant, and then that Gruyere has actually released quite a bit of salt, so you get a nice salty hit, and that's from the prosciutto as well. It's very, very good indeed. And these are still warm, and I think that's the best way to serve them. So that's going to be it for this recipe. I know it takes a long time to make, but it's well worth doing. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below the video and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well. And I will be back with another recipe in the very near future, so until then, happy baking.